Moving right along, part 2 of running mechanics that can cause anterior knee pain or runner's knee. We've got crossing midline. So if we look back at the two categories of what is loading the back of the kneecap, this falls under the abnormal compression or tracking. Before was the normal compression, just amplification. So this is where the tracking is going to be isolated to a part of the back of the kneecap that's not meant for repetitive loading. So for here, commonly with this, we have that dynamic valgus, and that's where we're going to get that excessive pressure on the outside, the lateral portion of that kneecap. If we go back again to that green screen, the basic 4, this falls under that 4th one of the most common and most important, I believe, with the screens, pass fail, crossing midline. Do you cross midline? No, you're good, move on with your life. You fail it, we're going to talk about now the technique of it. So crossing midline, so you'll see previous posts, we talked about a stability issue. It was the lack of strength or stability of that glute med muscle, that hip abductor, that was causing that collapse and that relative crossing of the midline. Here in this section, it's all technique driven, mechanics driven. We're assuming that you have the strength that you need, and we're assuming that it's just merely, you're just crossing over, whether it be, in this example, I'm going around and out of that sagittal plane. I'm going into more of the transverse. Or is it when you're driving towards the opposite side shoulder, which is commonly what we'll see. So how do you know if this is you? How do you know if you are crossing midline? Oftentimes we'll see the knees will scrape together or bang occasionally when you're running. If you have a history of pain on the outside of your hip, because when you're crossing midline like that, you can get a lot of pressure on the outside of your hip. The wear pattern here is on the front outside of the shoe more so, because as you're going out and crossing, you're making contact with the outside portion versus the overstriding, which was that back corner. We're seeing arm swing also crossing midline. So the arms are the mirror of the legs. They're going to tell you what's going on. If I've got someone that's weaving, so to speak, or they're coming out of that straight sagittal plane when they're driving that leg through, their arms are probably doing the same. So we'll see their arms a lot of times swing excessively forward and back or across your body if they're crossing midline. And finally, just video yourself from behind, whether you do it with yourself with the tripod, whether you have somebody at the track, take a video from behind or on the treadmill for that matter, to see, are you doing it? Are you crossing over? And then we'll go over how to fix it. So I'm going to let these roll. The progressions from here on out all have to do with, we're taking you vertical, we're taking the components of running, we're breaking it down, and we're working on that drive, that swing phase. We've talked in the past about the landing phase and the pushing off phase. Now this is the swing phase, when your foot is off the ground going through the air. When you're driving, making sure that that knee is driving in that same plane that's in line with your hip and not crossing over midline. So all these from here are working on the very such thing, is making sure that we're staying in your lane, so to speak. We're going from more horizontal to more vertical, and we're saying this is a technique driven issue. So work on these drills to help to correct your crossing midline from a mechanical standpoint.